I wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have been able to be a cheerleader because I would have thought, oh, here's one more fucking thing that I have to deal with now. So I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. As a kid. Now, all right, sure, I'll throw you around if I can lift you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm more secure in myself now than I was when I was a teenager.
Funny story.
Younger.
Funny story. True story. So it was towards the end of my 8th grade year, the coaches for the high school cheerleading team came down. They were like, at lunch, we're doing like a cheerleading tryout meeting in this classroom, blah, 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 whatever. And I got like 7 dudes to go to this thing. Nice. And it kind of started out as a joke, like, haha, let's just go do that. And we all showed up, we all signed up, and I was the only one to show up for tryouts. And I was all like, what the fuck, guys? Like, we were going to do this. And then like I tried out and made varsity. Nice. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this.
So did you have to do like a bunch of were you like a flipper?
Like tumbler, yeah. I did tumbling.
That's cool.
A little bit, like the cartwheels, back springs, backflips, and things. Like I actually, there's a couple of places in town, in Boise, Stars and Wings, that they did like cheerleading camp things. I don't know. There's a technical term for it, but workshops kind of things.
Okay.
And we learned a whole bunch of stuff and practiced the tumbling and gymnastics stuff. And I really, really wanted to get more involved in gymnastics, but financially,
right,
my family was not able to provide that. And so that, like, kind of side note to that statement, partially why, like, I mean, I don't have any kids, right?
Right.
But that's been partially intentional to not have kids, because I want to be in a position financially that I can provide them a life that I wasn't provided growing up.
Right.
And it, like, I never was in need, you know, like the things that I needed were provided, but the things that I wanted were always on, like, if it was possible, maybe.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I mean, I bought my first car at 15 years old, cash, myself. Work from money that I worked for, and anytime I ever needed shoes or socks and like just the things that like weren't super expensive that I could pay for, I always paid for from like 14 to the time that I moved out. But like food and like random bills that, like doctor bills and things, so I was taken care of by my parents. But
yeah,
like it was hard at the time to have my dad be like, if you want it, get it, because it's like, well, and it was super weird. My older brother, they gave him a car. My older sister got a car from my grandpa. My little brother got a car, and my little sister got a car, all from my parents. I never got a car until I was like 24.
Huh.
Like, and it was a random, like, it just kind of worked out thing, you know, and which was super grateful and super needed at the time. And it was just weird growing up where, like, I'm the middle child and I don't get these things. They've like, we tried some things out with the older kids and it didn't work out so well. But now we're older, we're in a better position, so we'll help out the younger kids. But you didn't.
Yeah, that's the middle child syndrome. Yeah. You get caught in the middle. You're like Jan Brady.
I don't know what that is. So, what's Jan Brady?
From the Brady Bunch.
Oh yeah,
she was the middle of the 3 girls, and Marsha. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't. Where was I going with that?
I don't know.
Cheerleading, like the preconceived ideas of what is manly, and like I don't. When you were talking about, what was the show that you said, the father
of the Fresh Prince?
Fresh Prince, yeah. Not really the same, but have you ever seen A Walk to Remember? with Mandy Moore.
I've seen pieces of it.
So there's a part where the main character is not super close with his dad,
right?
And his dad is like from money. He's a doctor or something like that. Like he's very well off, and his girlfriend, the kid's girlfriend, ends up getting cancer.
Yeah. And I know the gist.
So the dad.
No spoilers for the listeners at home if they haven't seen it yet.
It's going to be a spoiler. I don't even mind.
The movie's 20 years old.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it yet, you probably aren't going to watch it. The dad ends up paying for in-home care for his girlfriend's, this whole thing, and this moment where they hug and it's super emotional. I bawled my eyes out because I don't really feel like I got a lot of emotional attention from my dad.
Right.
He was the provider and he worked a lot. Never came to any of the sporting events, and it was I got it, he I don't think I never took it as a blatant disregard for what was important to me.
Right.
I never took it that way. My brothers definitely took it that way, and it's just so weird to talk with them and to see the difference in perspective.
Yeah,
it's super interesting to me. They've got some emotional trauma that they've been working through for years, and I'm just I'm so grateful that I didn't attach myself to that.
Yeah, it's not the most fun in the world to imagine. To have those kinds of feel, because I often think, would I be a different person had my father stuck around? In a way, I'm glad that he didn't, because the reason he left was because he had drug problems and alcohol problems, and so I wasn't exposed to any of that as a child. I never came home from school and saw him passed out on the couch or laying in a pool of his own vomit or anything. I had never had to see the ugly side of things. So the memories I have of my father when I was a kid are sitting in the car singing songs, or him coming home from work with Italian ices or whatever.
Yeah. And
so in a way, it was good that he excused himself from the situation. But I also wonder, had he hung around, had he gotten better and hung around, would I be a different person? Would I have a different view of things? Because I always wanted that relationship with him, and we have that sort of now. He came to visit last year. He came to visit with his wife, and he came to watch me do comedy. And when I got off stage, he hugged me and was yelling about how awesome it was, to the point that I was like, Dad, let's go over here, because you're causing a commotion for the next comedian who's on stage. Let's go. So I'm glad that I got to have that moment with him, that he came to watch me do something that I've been working on for quite a while now, and he was, that's awesome, you were great, I'm so proud of you, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But then I also didn't know how to talk to him when he was here.
Right.
Because
you'd never built a relationship in that way.
Yeah. I let him play with his grandson, and I just didn't, we didn't get past the surface on any conversations that we had, or we talked. He was wearing a Tom Brady jersey, so I made fun of, I was made fun of the Patriots. It was just that kind of shit. And which I suppose is a father-son dynamic anyway. But I don't know.
Is that some preconceived idea stuff?
Well, what, being able to talk shit back and forth and
about sports?
Oh no, I not the being able to talking sports with my dad, and just that.
I've never talked sports with my dad.
Yeah, but just that I was able to, I was we had a common ground in that I insulted. I was talking shit about the guy whose jersey he's wearing. Just I called him a cheater or whatever it was, and
Yeah.
So we had like a little back and forth about that. But like, no, like I'm not gonna call him and ask him for the scores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you watch the game? Like, no, not that kind of.
Yeah.
Just more of like a ball breaking kind of,
Right.
back and forth type deal.
Yeah. I had a thought. It seems to have.
It's about time. I'm sorry. Sometimes I can't help myself.
Did you see that bus coming? Or
you know what? I got because it's weird. There's a lot of like we're talking about a lot of heavy stuff. So like I had to just a little, just like break the tension a little bit.
That's fair. I hate you.
Right back at you, buddy.
I didn't mean it at all.
Neither did I.
A little bit. I love you. Dude, what did you think of this weekend?
I'm exhausted.
I was telling producer about that.
Oh, dude. I do have I have a new level of respect for Brian Posehn after this weekend. So, little backstory for our listeners. For those of you who may not know, Dwayne and I work at Liquid Laughs, the comedy club located in Boise, Idaho, across the street from the Knitting Factory. Professional shows every Thursday to Sunday night. Anyway, Brian Posehn was in town this past weekend, who you may know from things like Just Shoot Me and the Sarah Silverman program. And
Seinfeld too, right?
So, yeah, I think he was on an episode of Seinfeld. He's been everywhere for the last 30 years. Like he's just
does a voice on Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, he's a very funny guy. Very nice guy. And he came to town to do these shows over the weekend, and he was incredibly sick. Like, to the point where before one of the shows, I think it was the Saturday early show, he was throwing up minutes before he got on stage.
and
then composed himself, went out there like a professional, fucking crushed it for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then just went back to the green room and took a nap until the next show, and then fucking did it again.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of his, but I have a new level of respect for him now after watching just the professionalism of because he could have easily said, "I'm not going on.
Yeah.
I'm sick. Let's do this another time," or whatever. Let's reschedule or whatever. But no, he stuck it out. He did the shows, and he crushed.
Yeah.
Fucking my hat is. If I was wearing a hat, I would take it off to you, Brian Posehn. Well done this weekend.
Yeah, it was. This whole weekend was just a. Did you work Thursday night too?
I did not work Thursday night. That was one of my daddy days.
Oh, gotcha. So Thursday night we had the Unzucker affair.
Yes, yeah, to raise money for Kane.
Yeah,
right.
Kane, yes, we raised over $1,000 just from passing the buckets in the crowd.
Nice,
and then plus the ticket proceeds, and then
that's awesome.
Like all the servers gave their tip outs to them.
Awesome.
And and Shade and I did the same. It was just great. Like that whole thing was awesome. And then that mom joke last night was just incredibly packed for a Sunday night.
Yeah, sold out on a Sunday night. Props to Crystal Moore for making that happen.
Dude, for real.
Shit.
Like she's a little guru with the marketing or something.
And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but there have never been that many women in the comedy. I think between you, me, Dustin, and Jake made up a majority of the men in the building that night.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else there were maybe 2 or 3 men in the crowd, but damn near 95% of that audience. No, 98% of that audience was women. Sold the fuck out.
Yeah. No, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I did really well that night.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Jinx is all like, it's a room full of women. You're a young, handsome guy. You're going to do fine.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not worried about it at all.
That was one of those nights that I was like, fuck, I wish I was a server.
Yeah, dude. I did really
wish I was a server again.
Yeah. Dude, so Shade and I bartended both Friday and Saturday night.
Yes.
On our own.
Yes.
Normally we rock 3 bartenders.
Yes.
On a show